Captain America 2 sort of destroyed what I thought would be a place of employment. I decided to switch sides. So, Hail Hydra! But again, after Captain America 2, if you haven't seen it yet, spoiler alert, but honestly, if you're a fan of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I don't know how you catch up or really get any particular enjoyment out of the series, especially series. But again, S.H.I.E.L.D's basically gone, and the show finally has a immediate impetus or motivation to really change up everything about the show. For all season long, the show has been basically been regarded as this barely superpowered NCIS knockoff. I mean, the case by case stuff was barely any more interesting than what you could find off SVU or any of the NCIS stuff. Even if they could barely fit in some actually superpowered elements there. Though the Gravitron, whatever that episode, I think it was like the third episode this season. That was pretty good. The Thor 2 episode, I think that left a really bad impression on everyone. Though that was not the greatest example of like the kind of interconnectivity either the showrunners and like the architects of the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the show were able to sort of hopefully portray to everyone. Though Thor 2 wasn't a particularly good way to show the extent of how it's all connected. Captain America 2, after that ending, after all those big twists, this show has gone through a gigantic retooling. It's basically recontextualized all the bland episodes you thought before, all the bland characters in terms of bland characters, I mean just Ward. Because eventually, everyone else found a place to be interesting. Ward versus the pretty one, even though they had Sky. But damn you, Colby Smulders. Again, back on topic. Turn again is easily the best episode of the series by far. Only because it shows. It's the key example of how interconnected the Marvel universe is, and how when planned, and it can really carry the momentum of seeing the Marvel movie and all that excitement and putting that back, in the comfort of your own home. And even on its own, the show has even if you haven't seen the movie, though that'd be hard to explain, because the show it doesn't explicitly say it's related to Captain America until the very end, where they report Captain America just took out the 3 helicarriers at HQ. Or in the East Coast, whatever. But, even on its own, the show was able to, that'd be hard to say. That'd be hard to, because in terms of rating, the show just hit a series low, despite all the online promotion building up to all the online promotion about saying, after Captain America, everything changes. Though I was surprised because I sat through Captain America I saw the Captain America twice, and therefore I saw the end credits twice, and technically I saw the pre-show twice. But through none of that, I didn't see stay tuned for Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. to see how the story continues or the adventure continues. I'm surprised I didn't see that. And apparently no one else. I guess that I like to believe that actually had an effect, but apparently the popular theory is no one had time to see the movie, even though it made a April box office record, and it is the big Marvel movie. But I digress. But again, on its own, the show has finally found an impetus to really retool, be rejuvenated and motivated to do really exciting things. It found a way to make Ward interesting by making him undercover Hydra agent, not a sleeper agent, but a Hydra agent the entire time. It found satisfying motivation to sort of explain why all these characters are set or were gathered together, and how it ties back into why we brought Coulson back, and it ties together all the clairvoyant ties that's been keeping us generally motivated throughout the mid-season. But also showed the show is capable of generating some general for TV. I hate to say that, but generally big TV spectacle. I mean, there is a lot of CGI. There's a lot of generally, again, hate to say it, but for TV aspects of the series for a show, like there's 2-3 big dogfight effects, a lot of explosions. There's this pretty cool hallway fight scene with Ward that it would have been disappointing anyway. It's disappointing in comparison to what Captain America did in all of its fight scenes. But again, for TV, it's a lot of good choreography, and it shows it shows the seriousness and ferocity of Ward. And now in the new context, it actually feels like he really does feel like this imposing threat, and it really does help feed the idea of how everything is like how trust no one, don't trust anyone, as Nick Fury said, and now everyone else says in the show. And it's hard to really talk about the show as a standalone now, especially now that it has to respond to everything that Captain America does. And it's interesting to see, or at least to look back in retrospect, how much the show had just to sort of buy time until this happened. Because again, Captain America was in production last year, probably while they were still planning on. I think they were probably still on the first 13 episodes of the series, so they had to sort of plan ahead. Okay, if we get renewed, what are we gonna do? If we get extended for a full season, what are we gonna do? How do we keep this going? Yada yada yada, and at least it showed for how well the show could bend to such plot gymnastics. Though some of the twists were probably more obvious than it should have been. Than I should have. Well, they were more obvious. They were more obvious that I should have been expecting it. Though I did call out Bill Paxton was the bad guy. I didn't expect Ward to be turn, but it's a clever way of recontextualizing the character, so that the one that everyone hated to the one everyone can enjoyably hate now. It puts him back into it recontextualizes the love triangle now between him, May, and Sky. Though that scene was weird, but I guess the whole 084 connection makes it better. It ties in all the it makes all the procedural elements. It brings them back in and recontextualizes them into and retools them into the serialized version of the show that's coming now. Now, I mean, it has some of the classic I think it has some, and the show's the problem with the show is that the movie can affect the series. The series can very vaguely have ties to the movie. Though but again, the show's supposed to stand on its own, and I think even if you haven't seen the series, this is actually still a pretty exciting episode. As long as you've kept up with some of the storylines since probably since the Tahiti episode, since they revealed everything. And there are some cool Easter eggs for people who have seen the movie. There's this scene. If you've seen Captain America 2, you know they all have this device, this flare that basically makes holes in the ground that lets them escape out of anything. And you wonder, where does that come from? What is that called? What does that do? and halfway through the episode, they start using it too, and then they explain in a like very out of the way. Oh, this is a device Fitz like developed that like never got into like the wide release stages, but S.H.I.E.L.D. found a way to use for like its higher ups. It's like, oh, that's clever. That's a nice touch. But I'm trying to keep this. I've gone past the 10-minute mark. But again, like, it's a show that's really taken advantage of the momentum and the changes that Captain America has done to the series, done to the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe, the whole anchor of S.H.I.E.L.D. And now it's just gone, and now everyone really does feel adrift, which I guess makes Guardians of the Galaxy an easier jumping off point later on. And it makes this series more interesting to watch, just to see what more plot gymnastics they can do. But now they can finally show the show is finally not waiting for something to happen. That like, because again, I feel like the way that Marvel movies are released, they can actually like just hold off on that. They can just keep waiting and waiting for more movies to come out to like give them a plot impetus instead of creating their own. And at least the show in this episode, Turn, at least it's shown an example that it can make a lot with everything set up properly. It can make a lot of dramatic changes and retoolings, and I'm actually fairly excited to see what the show does with now. And I might actually keep doing these reviews for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. at least until the end of this season, because it's becoming pretty intense, honestly. Because the fallout is so big for the Marvel Universe. That's actually really, really intriguing to see what's going on. But that's all I have for this week, so that way I don't waste too much of your time. Stay tuned next week for next week's episode of Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., or Marvel's X Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., or Marvel's Agents of Carcass. I don't know where I heard that. It was like a HitFix review. But as you know, stay tuned with us, Media Misfits, and as always, nowadays, Hail Hydra!